Welcome back to OPL Split 2, where Tainted Mind versus Avantgarde are currently 1-1. I'm still Spawn, joined by Fish, Frostger, and for game number 3, Tainted Mind's in that game. They hit back in a big way. This has been a long, grueling series. You know, new kids on the block versus experienced veterans in Avantgarde. What are we looking for going into this final game?
I expect Azir to be a contested pick. Now, we do have all 6 bans coming in this time around, so I either want him taken off the board or I want...
I love how I get laughed at for saying, you know, for catching something. I'm like, what do you expect? Big game 3. Azir's going to be pick fan. All right, cool. We've got that one as well. Like that. Yeah, we're on the same page right now. What else are we looking for out of these lineups? I mean, the early game has been pretty poor out of Tainted Minds. How do they shore that up?
Clean it up, basically. I'm going to give them the same rationale which I gave to Avant, whereby Avant had very poor decision making in the mid and late game. Tainted Minds, very bad early game. Just clean it up, play a much passive early game. Don't try to overcommit to these plays the way they have been so far, and just stay even with Avantgarde towards the early game.
To me, I just want more than 2 people to show up per team. So you said last game, the reason that pushed Tainted Minds over the top is the fact that Omni showed up to Rosie and lost party in the bot lane. But the thing is the Azir and the Lucian were so far ahead for so long, but they couldn't team fight because their jungler and their top laner were just completely non-existent. That's your big, beefy front tank line. And the only time team fights went correctly is when Lucian had to stand directly next to Omni. Otherwise, Paradise was just riding his face, just like all over him.
To give credit to Paradise, there were a couple of great team fights where he was able to isolate Lucian the entire team fight and make sure he couldn't do anything to the rest of his team, but after 5 to 10 seconds, he just got straight back in there.
Yeah, he certainly did all right, guys. So this is the part where I get to put you on the Frost. Frost, stop laughing. He's putting you on the spot. You both went with Tainted Minds at the top of the show, you know, with good reason. This is a new team, very explosive in their gameplay. But I'm going to ask you again, who do you think is going to win this set?
I think I'm going to stick with Tainted Minds. Both of these games were 50-minute slugfests. I think Tainted Minds will figure it out. I still think that they're the stronger team, and they have more members showing up on the day than Avantgarde do.
I'm going to still stick with Tainted Minds as well. I feel like between game 1 and 2, they're the ones that have improved drastically more coming to that second match. Of course, they picked up the win. I think they're going to continue doing that coming to game 3.
I believe in Shelby. If anyone cares about my opinion, I think he's going to be able to carry it through. However, guys, we get to find out. Game 3 is ready. So to take us onto the riff for one last time in this first set, here is Rogi and Rusty.
Thanks, Spawn. Here we are in game number 3, and quite a fashion to be here. 2 50-minute plus games. Can't say it's been the greatest showing of strategic mastermind out of both these teams, but they're here nonetheless.
Absolutely, and it's been reactive and proactive play back and forth, like regardless of that, right? So maybe they haven't thought 10 minutes in advance of what they're planning to do. Maybe they haven't executed slowly and methodically, but they're still playing aggressively. They're still playing the style they started this series with. They just can't end the games early. They just really cannot team fight when they're ahead.
Look, they've got one more game to show us what they've got, to show us that they can play efficiently with a lead. And once again, very, very similar bans, if not exactly the same.
Except for the 3 for Avant this time around, the only change. They will have all of their bans available to them. We'll see what changes are made.
Well, looks like Lucian will be the first change here, getting banned away. Neither team wants to have that fall into their respective 80 carries.
Yeah, so Lucian gone, and it was banned by Lost, or by Tainted Minds,
Bard.
Which is interesting because their priority in terms of champions may alter because of the Lucian ban. Ezreal being the main priority as the other option, Azir as well for the mid laners. Very curious to see where Avantgarde go with their red side double pick.
Well, look, Frostgrim predicted it. We see the Azir here in game number 3. First pick on the side of Tainted Minds. They must be giving it so much preference to any other mid laner in this game right now, basically. And the Bard being banned away from Rosie, we saw just how well he set up fights, delayed for his team to get there, and pretty much carried that 50-minute plus team fights.
Yeah, he carried everything from like 30 minutes onwards, honestly. Like, credit to Lost again. He's a very strong AD carry. Mechanically was superb. But Rosie was the MVP. He was like the Batman, the hero they needed.
The Batman to Lost Robin, as we see Avant maybe going for a little bit of a different jungle choice here to what we saw them play in the first 2 games. Might be the Kindred. And remember that Lucian was Braum. That means Jake does get his hands on that burly mustache man Braum. It was banned away for good reason. Let's see if Jakey can live up to that.
Yeah, his consistent support, of course, that he always plays as well as that big tank and denial tool for a lot of damage that can be dealt. Very shocked that it is that heavily prioritized that it's seen 2 bans, however, and now also the first rotation draft from Avant, leaving open the perhaps Ezreal as the AD carry option. AV must have a plan ready to go though for Chenny. I know that he's got a secret Vayne.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he wanted to bring out in his first series in the OPL, but we'll see how it goes.
So is the reason that people pick Ezreal is just to answer the Lucian, or do you think they
No,
still
it's
prioritize?
just 2 of the best AD carries
Cool.
right now are Ezreal and Lucian. I think
Gotcha.
plain and simple.
As we see Zahi hovering over that Ezreal. Omni might be picking himself up that Echo as they are both locked in. So once again joining the Rift, we have the Ezreal and the Echo.
Yeah. So they're locking the second draft here. Ezreal, Azir with no Lucian available. Probably still the 2 strongest, at least from this series that we've seen, mid and AD champions respectively. Curious to see if Triple goes towards his Varus pick into the Azir again.
Did a great job on Varus.
But deep down, I just hope he doesn't.
Yeah, I do want to see something else. 2 50-minute games of essentially the same team compositions. I want something new and exciting here, Rusty. So let's hope Triple can deliver.
Or just Victor.
Ooh,
Because
that's
he's a
great
good
point.
champion.
Yeah.
I feel like he should be picked.
And no stretch of the imagination that changes to his ultimate just allows you to dish out so much damage, right?
Yeah, it does. He just has a lot of control over the map. With Chelby as well, also locked in on the Kindred. They've got plenty of damage sources between Chenny and Chelby.
Ooh.
I thought they
Could the
might.
prophecy be true? Vayne and Fierce going to be the 2 champions locked in here.
Yeah, Triple also known for his Zed play. I think
Sure.
it actually still kind of rings true with a champion like Fizz.
Makes sense.
You can play one, you can probably play the other. They're somewhat similar in that respect. Of course, Chenny as well. I mentioned that he can play Vayne.
Yeah, he definitely had a beat on that one, so we'll be seeing Vayne. Haven't seen Vayne in a high-level competitive game in quite a while, to be honest.
Yeah, there's generally reasons for that. This is a secret pick of Rosie's as well, with the Bard not available to him.
Sure.
And Vayne being picked for AV, a very low range and single target heavy champion. With Braum to back it up, you can actually outright win this lane with a Zyra and X champion. X being any champion in the world. Of course, it is Ezreal. I actually do like the Zyra hover.
Through my own solo queue adventures, I haven't run into a great deal of decent Zyras, so my opinion of her is less than high at the moment. But unfortunately, Rosie not going to prove me wrong just yet, as he locks in the Thresh, followed by that Graze.
Yeah, so still being able to play the Thresh. Playmaking definitely suits Rosie's style. Backing that one up with the Graze for Zahi, so damage sources available across the board, basically, for the Tainted Minds roster. Avant-Garde still yet to round it out. And whether that's a shout-out or not, you have to remember and consider this confirmation for those at home that are really struggling to grasp. Paradise is RSI, the Riven one trick of all.
Oh yeah, here we go.
And that's why that is being hovered at all.
Well, they've already got the Vayne and the Fizz, right? It wouldn't be too crazy to lock in the Riven, would it?
It would absolutely be too crazy to lock in the Riven with it.
Let's see if Avant are quite the daredevils I'm making them out to be, or if they've still got some composure here. Looks like it's going to be Fizz top, followed by that all-important Victor in the mid lane.
Yeah, last pick as well is going to be that Victor mid. So I imagine we'll see them swap. Yep. And top lane Fizz has the option of going AP, has the option of going the tank build. Of course, still quite good with the Iceborne Gauntlet. Knowing that he's against the Echo as well actually can be cheeky and actually very difficult for the Echo to even hit a stun on you because you are Fizz and you have your playful Trickster, your Troll Pole.
Just an absolute pesky champion to lock down. And that's exactly what Echo wants to do, is lock you down. He's going to have a very difficult time here. We see Omni. Right now he's got himself that barrier. We saw barrier did get a few buffs in this current patch, so not surprised to see him taking it out against the likes of Victor. But that gives Triple the teleport advantage here, which could come up huge.
Yeah, teleport advantage and also just a way to get back to laning phase if it starts off poorly for the Victor. Has decent trading, but generally speaking will run out of mana. What I look at when I see this Avant-Garde roster is perhaps their lack of crowd control to back things up, right?
Sure.
They've got the Fizz top lane that needs to hit the fish to have any kind of crowd control in the first place. The Victor needs to actually have you stand in his gravitational field for 2 seconds to get something going, and it's also a Kindred. Not much to speak of there.
Yeah, it's going to be a real test to Avant's team composition to see if they can make it. But as we are loading into the game here, don't forget to get on Twitter, make your presence known, tweet at #TMNWin or #AVWin and show your support. for these two teams who are battling it out in game number 3, Rusty.
Yeah, both teams taking it to very long games, of course, game 1 and 2 respectively, both winning in the same style as well. But the question to me is who's actually going to shore up the weaknesses earlier and faster in this third game, because that'll be the team that comes out on top.
Well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We are in game number 3 on the Rift. Tainted Minds, the newcomers to the OPL, taking on long-standing Avant. Will it be the newcomers or the old gods to take this best of 3 in game number 3?
And of course, kicking it off with those Keystone Masteries once again. Grasp of the Undying standard for top laners, and Fervor of Battle seemingly the standard for Kindreds in the jungle. It's unusual because Strength of the Ages, you would assume, is the go-to option. But they like doing damage.
And Shelby, we saw him shy a little bit away from damage in the last game, going for a more tank-oriented Gragas build. Still did a great job on it regardless. Again, though, we would have liked to see him maybe get a little bit more ability power on that early item. So makes up for it here with the Fervor of Battle.
Yeah, also, whilst we're looking at the champion selected, Vayne's been renowned as a decent pick into Ezreal. Near exclusively, I will say. Like, Ezreal's always got a weakness that a Vayne can exploit, and it's just that you can equal the damage over the time and start to best it as things go on. Skill shot reliant, you've got the tumble to dodge it. Lots of positives for Avant-Garde in that bottom lane. But knowing Rosie and knowing Lost, two very high mechanics players, it's going to be easier said than done to dodge all of those spells.
We're really looking forward to seeing how this lane unfolds. We've seen how Tainted Minds, they like to play aggressive early on. We do have the champions to do it, but Braum, very capable at quelling any early aggression.
Yeah, and while we're discussing Braum, we mentioned the lack of crowd control that AV will have. Well, that's what makes Braum actually stand out as a priority option for them in this team composition. It gives everybody a stun. Victor needs to auto-attack as a part of his spell damage, as well as Telby on that Kindred, so they want to auto-attack. Braum will augment that further and enable them to have stuns, which gives them the crowd control.
Good chunk of damage coming
Triple's
onto
actually
both
going to get out-traded.
these mid laners, but yeah, Triple. He's not respecting the minions nor the soldiers here.
Yeah, you can't walk past the minion wave to do a trade that obvious and then walk in a straight line back. If the Azir ever hits the Q after an auto attack, then you're actually just going to have at least an even trade in a situation like that. And not ideal.
Both these mid laners really making their presence known to each other. As we take a look at the bot lane now, Chenny Boy already taken a little bit of health and damage. A few Qs surely went his way from the side of Lost. We've seen how well he can do on these high mechanic-based champions in game number 1, constantly arcane shifting into the face of his enemies and completely deleting them.
Yeah, of course, resonating best with the Vayne as the champion choice for him, as these two are going to duke it out once again.
Very reminiscent of game number 1 as Sazahu just gets taken down to paradise. But this time Shelby wasn't there to back him up. It was just a straight 1v1.
Yeah, and an overstay from Sazahu, even with the 6 CS advantage that he had before that even commenced.
Oh,
Chenny's hooked.
a good hook. Not going to follow it up with the flay just yet, as Jakey had made his presence known.
Very well timed hook, though, with the minion wave crashing towards Chenny, means he can't trade back. So it's just free damage.
Good trading going out of this bot lane of Tainted Minds, though. Something we have been praising for all series long.
Nice
Another hook. Once again, a beautiful double man play. The Ignite goes down. Forces the flash, maybe even the heal. Not going to come out just yet. Forces the potion, but Lost and Rosie, especially Rosie, really making a name for themselves in the OPL tonight. And look, here's Zahi. With the red buff on. Not much going to happen. Flashes in, but a beautiful condemn. But there's the hook.
Oh,
Gets
Rosie.
himself a kill. Rosie. Wow.
Just
really
makes sense,
impressive.
right? The worthy recipient of the kill just happens to be the Thresh, as they will work their way through the turret because reasons. Get back towards the minions, but first blood goes over to Tainted, well, second blood rather, goes over to Tainted Minds.
That's right. We saw the Echo versus Fizz 1v1 that kind of just came to a halt. That was much more exciting than that.
Exactly, yeah. And Rosie's mechanically just on point right now. I think he had those 2 Bard warm-up games.
Well, Paradise is just completely bullying out Sazahu, not even getting hit by the turret thanks to that playful Trickster.
Yeah, and this is why it's a strong pick into the Echo.
The ward spots him out, but he doesn't have a lot that he can do. No teleport flash is available.
He needs more than a ward. He needs to run. He
Paradise.
has no stun now. He's actually just in a worse
Paradise's
position.
own level 5, it looks like. He will be taking that one up. Forced to flash, but they flash after him. One more Autumn Attack should do it, and Shelby gets another kill on the side of Avant.
Yeah, so the big mistake there was actually using your parallel convergence and not committing to something. Paradise was close to 6, so if he stayed under the turret, it was a minion wave anyway until he was going to be able to 1v1 him. And using the parallel convergence and not actually alluding towards it at all. Just asking to be dove, and that's exactly what happens.
Really good positioning from Avant. They know where their strengths lie and how to get them ahead. The ball rolling in favor of Tainted Minds in that bot lane. Something we're not surprised to see here, but let's see if they can really spiral it out of control, because that seems to be Tainted Minds' #1 key to victory.
Yeah, picking Vayne, generally speaking, you're not drafting yourself to win the lane too heavily. He has somewhat got some strength in that bottom lane. There's a semblance of capability there.
Lost went for the Sheen before the tier here, so he wants to fight. He's not afraid of a Cull Vayne at this stage, that's for sure.
No, and you can tell he wants to fight, definitely. So does Rosie, I think is the big deal, as they are controlling this bottom lane indefinitely. They need to get something back on the board for themselves because top lane's already sacked.
Yeah, he's in a world of hurt right now. Doing a good job of last hitting, but that's going to come to an end soon once Paradise gets the lane in a position where he can keep it, forcing Sazahu to overextend. But back at the mid lane, Victor, about a wave and a half ahead of his opponent, of course, as we can see. Oceanic Trinity Force here saying Red Side has won 5 out of 6 games so far in the first week, with games lasting an average of 40 minutes. Very impressive here.
Yeah, definitely interesting facts there. So thank you to Lockie for that one. It's an average of 40 minutes, I'm going to say, has been increased by these last 2.
Oh, you're definitely right there, Rusty. So Shelby just meandering around in this bot lane. Not a lot going to happen here.
Casual farming, I think, is the name of the game this time around, but advantages, to no surprise, bottom lane and mid lane of each respective team, the same as the last 2 games. The question is, and it was what we raised at the start of this game, is the weaknesses in the mid game, because this has always happened.
Yeah.
We've always seen Lost be ahead of Chenny. We've basically always seen Triple be ahead of Omni. Is can the opposite side stop making those mistakes that actually let the other team into the game? Because from this point in the game, there should be no situation where Omni just finds himself leaps and bounds ahead of Triple out of nowhere. The same thing goes with Lost and Chenny Boy. If Chenny gets 2 random kills that shouldn't happen and he's back in the game, when the AD carries it back to square one and everything resets, needless and very much a mistake.
Shelby definitely at odds with this Mountain Dragon at the moment. We saw that Omni did make his way over to get that blue buff, so there's going to be no pressure there just yet, but this is really a battle of the ages.
So as far as dragons go, the Mountain Dragon, in terms of strength, is the least impactful. It hits you like once a year.
There we go.
So he will
In
be
terms
able
of
to.
actual...
So it attacks slower,
Yeah,
but it's meant
okay.
to be more heavy hitting in terms of the amount of damage it does, whereas the Air Dragon will attack quicker, but do less damage, so that it, and it changes targets quicker, means you can juggle aggro a little bit less effectively. Every dragon is a bit different.
Definitely cool to note here as we see both blue buffs have been donated to their respective mid laners. Omni trying to get a little bit of a push going, but to no avail as Triple, he does have that upgraded Hex Core, allowing him to clear out those waves with no real issue.
Yeah, doing well in this middle lane, of course, each having the blue buff now. Reset time for the junglers, I think, is the important part to take from that. And with no dragon to contest, I question if Tainted Minds will actually look towards the Rift Herald, because I know that Avant will.
You're exactly right. That's where their advantages lie, so it would be silly for them not to go for it. Despite Fizz having a good advantage, Sazahu done a great job of farming himself up here to stay at least relevant. He's hit that level 6, so he's got his ultimate available. Should Fizz ever go a little bit too aggressive. Does the Shark follow him through the ult?
No.
Okay, falls off.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh,
That's great.
yeah.
You actually couldn't even see if Zahi was there or not through vision on the
They just
on
got to
the lane.
respect it, right?
But if he throws out a lantern and walks at you very fastly, I wouldn't be surprised if Rosie starts using that now that he's got a pink ward strictly as a baiting tool. Like, throw the lantern into the bush and just walk at them with haste and be like, I'm coming for you. but I'm not actually, because if you turn around, it's not good.
Yeah, cheeky Rosie just forcing Chenny Boy to respect him here, and he has to. We've seen just how well he can do when he gets on a roll, hitting 3 back-to-back.
They are fighting.
Of course, netting himself a kill, but Chenny Boy is in a world of hurt. One more auto attack should do it, but it will be the tick of Ignite. That's 2 kills over to Rosie, as Chenny Boy falls victim once again.
Those were some interesting interactions between the Vayne and the Ezreal, but as far as mechanics go, that was unbelievable from Lost. To be able to hit anything on that Vayne at all, not only through the Braum, but to hit the skill shot aspects of it as well, that was a well-deserved kill for Tainted Minds, and now their bottom lane is even further ahead.
Yeah, Omni, he might be in a little bit of trouble here, doing what he can to keep that wave at bay. Triple looking to make something happen. Jakey goes in with the ult. Shelby's there to answer. One more auto attack should do it. Triple gets that one for himself. But here is Sazahu and Zahi. They've got their sights set on this Braum with nothing available. He just falls. The combination of the jungler and the top laner.
Yeah, so they end up going 1-for-1, but of course the support for the mid laner still going to be in favor of Avant with that particular trade. The one before would say that it comes out as a net positive, however, for the Tainted Minds team. As once again, we look at the 2-0 Thresh in that bottom lane. Going for boots of mobility indicates that he wants to be moving around the map much more effectively, besting Jake at what he just did.
Well, let's see if he can make something happen with them right now.
Or just running down the Vayne.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Just chucking down that lantern. Every second that Vayne isn't attacking him, that's more movement speed that he's gaining towards her.
Yeah, it's still entirely possible. Lost just wanted to use his Q into the wall. See what happens. Not much happened.
Oh, another hook lands. Rosie has just been on point. Jake kind of bluffing that he had more than was available to him just there.
Yeah, but we're about to see a contest for the Scuttle Crab.
Oh, Shelby in a lot of trouble. Forced to flash out of that one. The ultimate collateral damage. Not going to be enough as Shelby. He's going to think twice before fighting for the next crowd.
Yeah, the Hunter's Potion actually coming up quite clutch there in the way of the health regeneration. So well done to Shelby for picking up an item that probably didn't need, but keeping him alive because of it. And that was actually for the Scuttle Crab, as mentioned, because it was denying a mark from Shelby, which is why he was stanced so aggressively, perhaps in a position where he shouldn't have been. And Omni keeps his ultimate from it as well, which is a big deal.
Looks like the side of Avant finally get that pink ward, but in the bot lane, Triple might be in a lot of trouble because here comes Zahi. One more auto attack should be enough to finish him off. He's got that potion ticking. End of the line is so close. The shield from the Q is going to be enough to keep him safe, and Triple avoids disaster.
Yeah, it doesn't go down. Even Shelby now in this middle lane, as is Chenny.
Oh, the ultimate has been popped from the Vayne. A couple more auto attacks should do it, but there is the Lantern out of Rosie to keep his carry safe.
Actually a flash lantern as well to separate as much distance as possible between the enemy team and his Graves. Nobody dies, but a lot was used to ensure that nobody dies from equal parties.
Yeah, it looks like Paradise just getting further and further ahead in this top lane. Finished his Iceborne Gauntlet, while Zaza, he's been relegated to go defensive straight away.
Yeah, and one thing to note as well whilst we're looking at the top lane is the teleport advantage that Avant have got, given that the Dragon is up in 35 and it's an Infernal Drake.
Ooh.
You do need to look at that as a big deal.
And when they've got the Victor and the Vayne, they really want to get that extra damage right away.
Yeah, it's a very good scaling Dragon. Should always be fought for if possible. And very difficult to actually fight for if you were the team with the Echo right now.
Second Infernal Dragon of the night. We've seen air and water primarily, so a bit of offensive stats here.
This is the Volcano combo.
Oh, the Volcano combo is
A
right.
mountain and a fire dragon together makes the Volcano.
I like
doesn't
that
it?
one. No, you're exactly right.
It's like an evolved form.
Yeah, when are they going to start adding recipes? If you get one of each dragon, maybe something else?
You like morph the icons together or something and just make it.
A whole new dragon, whole new buff. As we see, it is going to be Tainted Minds, though. They've got their sights set on this dragon, taking this one away from what would be Avant.
A cloud in an ocean could be like a Dratini.
They've gone full Pokemon. What else we got?
I can't say any off the top of my head. That was my favorite.
Well, 3 rocks, you get a golem, right?
Three Rocks is a range of mountains.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but if we're talking Pokemon, you got golem.
Oh, we're not going full into Pokemon. Come on.
You're not.
Yes.
As we see
Correct.
in the top lane. Shelby and Paradise here. They should just be able to get this
They want
tower away, but lost another greedy recall. Should be costing him his life here. One more auto attack should do it. Chenny Boy picks that one up and lost. He'll be feeling bad after that one in the top lane. The Lamb's respite, the only thing keeping Shelby alive. Saza, who got his ultimate, but another kill to Rosie, who gets the hook simultaneously. Give him the third one. But Saza will be picking that one up.
Yes, thankfully does not pick up the next kill, Rosie, because there becomes a point where you have too much of your team's gold as a support, and it's actually not valuable gold gained at all. Lost actually recalling in a horrendous position because plain and simple, it was aggressive and it was a greedy recall. Gets himself killed for it. A lot used, but the trade was already there.
A lot of damage on this tower. They do have another minion wave. Saza, who's
He's
got to
gonna
watch
die.
out.
What are you doing?
Zahi falls to minions in game 1. Saza, who falls to a turret in game 3, Rusty.
You have to admire the death animation as well of the echo there.
That's the body face part.
Like, you could see it was coming.
Yeah.
And you know what the best part is? Is Tainted Vines pinged him missing after he died.
Oh, a good flash from Triple to keep him at bay. Avoids the hook to follow. Does he miss out on the gold from
He
the
misses
tower?
out on everything.
So
He
gold-
doesn't get to pass go, and he doesn't get 200 gold. He does get the tower gold.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, he doesn't get it for the kill because he was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
He gets the doesn't get local
there you go.
gold.
Yeah, he doesn't get the gold one. So.
He doesn't pass go. You're right. Goes
That's a
straight to
little bit
jail.
cheeky. Missing out on that one, we see Paradise and Shelby getting themselves that Rift Herald. Giving it over to Paradise, he's going to have an even better time. Taking out this Echo, we see just a defensive teleport down to bot lane to make sure that Rosie and Zero can't take that tower for free.
I think they will still try and be aggressive towards the Fizz, however. Yeah, remember, it is a 3-0 threat, so he does a lot.
Gets the hook. Here comes Zahi. Going in. There's going to be another teleport coming out of Triple. The Shark has been used onto Zahi. They want to turn their attention onto this Graves, and they just delete him from the map, but it's not done yet. Zaza, who does teleport in to help them secure this tower.
It's just a game of trades, back and forth every single time. Some more aggressive than others, and Zahi's flash forward was definitely what I would consider aggressive. He doesn't have enough crowd control to back his team up, so a big mistake there from Zahi, thinking that he had enough of an advantage. Triple having that teleport. Potentially also unexpected, given the last 2 games. But he's still going
Shelby, he's got that Lamb's Respite available. Omni going to have to get out of that one. The laser should be enough. The second proc has to be flash to keep him at
Zazu.
bay. Rosie doing what he can, but there is
Chenny,
Chenny
what?
Boy. Where is that vein coming from? Sazahu now in a lot of trouble.
Oh, the
the
hook.
ultimate is available. Rosie, he's got his sight set on 1v1ing Chenny Boy here. Does he get away with it? No, Lost is there to pick that one up, but in the mid lane, Sazahu goes down.
Rosie's putting on an absolute clinic, but the rest of AV are consistently answering.
Oh, a little bit aggressive positioning there from Rosie.
He thinks he's a god.
He is a good
He absolutely is mechanically. But the decision making, unfortunately, nice block from Jakey.
I like that
still
it
so
actually
back
goes
and
back the
forward.
full distance as well.
Yeah, it does. Good.
So it goes further backwards.
But again, we're still trading. So like a fight in the middle lane, as we do get to see this happen. And Channing thought he could tank the turret like 3 times and gets hooked by Rosie here. Fantastic.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic prediction and sets up Lost.
He could have
And
1v1.
He could have, but he didn't want to.
I don't know about if he didn't want to, but if Lost, it's like, come on, man, you've already taken 3 kills. Just let me face. Jakey,
No,
though,
not done.
might be in a little bit of trouble here. Should be able to just jump away when the minion wave gets
Graves
their
has
Zahi.
ult here.
Getting as much damage down as he can.
Yeah, needing to be careful. The aggression has definitely not been thwarted from either team here. They're just giving it to each other. Very, like, even that Channy dive was like, understand it. The 3 turret shots afterwards was like a sign that he really wanted to commit to the dive
He wanted
past
to,
it.
yeah, he wanted to go back.
Yeah.
He wanted more. Instead, it cost him his life because Rosie's a bit of a god.
The thing is, like, he's 50 CS behind as well, but
Ooh.
he does not care. He's working towards his items, and once the second one's there, it's the cool thing about Vayne, always relevant. Perhaps the Ezreal is more relevant, but the Vayne's absolutely relevant. And he will still do a lot of damage and be able to take out any carry of Tainted Mind.
Looks like he's on his way to be finishing off that Zeal item. He just picks up a nice wave of farm in the bot. Paradise, still a force to be reckoned with. About 15 minutes left on that Rift Herald buff. So he's just going to be having his way with this top lane for a while.
Yeah, he's going to have a great time. Unfortunately, this isn't the top lane, and the rest of the team can actually rotate this far and take the jungle back themselves. We will continue to see these trades, I think, eventuate throughout this game, and we have seen it through the rest of the series prior to this, with both teams being tied at 1-1, and with both games going 50 minutes long. Given how this one has started, I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens this time around.
Looks like the...
Feels like deja vu. That's honestly what it feels like every time. Yeah. Triple gets a lead. Shelby ganks well. Paradise solo kills Suzahu at one stage early in the game. And then Chenny Boy loses to Lost.
It's basically the story of this game is how these teams play, as we see Avant getting themselves the second Mountain Dragon. So almost a range of mountains here. One shy. But it will be... Looks like they're not going to fight here just yet. Thought they may. Thought Rosie may have gone for something a little bit more aggressive. Used to seeing him playing balls to the wall, but after that dragon was taken down, a brief respite.
Yeah, not just yet, of course. I think he still wants the Aegis and then followed by the Locket before he'll get banner, before he even considers going past that. Actually, let's him again. He's just got so much money that I think like working around item specs on a Thresh is a weirdly effective thing to do.
Sure.
At this point in the game. Of course, the Baron dance, given how early it has been taken twice now. The other big thing that I haven't actually touched on in this game is it's a Blood Razor Kindred who's got 2 Mountain Dragons. So thinking about speed with which they can take the Baron buff, it's almost unreasonably quick as a 2-man army approach. Chenny, Shelby, and perhaps the Braum or perhaps Paradise could easily take that down super quickly.
22 minutes in the game. About 1,000 gold in favor. Oh, Rosie narrowly misses a recall onto Triple. He had no idea he was there, so obviously couldn't go on that one. 6 kills to 7 in favor of Avant. The gold probably the closest it's been at this stage in the game. We usually see Tainted Minds with much more of a deficit, so credit to them for doing well.
This is also a situation where Tainted Minds are being proactive and they're making the right steps because Chenny is sitting top lane, doing the same thing that he did in game 1 and split pushing. This time, of course, naturally he's going to be on the Vayne, so it's going to be a bit better for dueling in that respect, as Vayne always will be.
It's the beauty of 2 Mountain Dragons as well.
Yeah, he destroys those turrets, even with a build that doesn't have any AD in it.
There's no one even remotely close to being able to stop him here, and they have to worry about Paradise in the bot lane. We've seen time and time again, Suzahu can't contest him. It looks like that's where they will be sending their resources. The Shark has been dropped, not doing a lot of damage here.
Yeah, there's no way.
But he's so damn slippery, Fizz. You just can't get him.
Yeah, but they do waste the fish, so in terms of damage output, it's now lacking a little bit. Chelby's also chunked out, so they can still look aggressively here, this Tainted Minds roster on the blue side.
Got the tower.
But yeah, now that we've got Lost against Chenny in a 1v1, that's ideal for where AV want to be on the map. They need to try and find situations where they can stay grouped, because look what happened.
Yeah, AV are just playing the map so darn efficiently right now, forcing Tainted Minds into these unfavorable positions where they're sending 3 people to gank a Fizz and then getting nothing for it and losing 2 towers off the back of it. So Tainted Minds are going to have to step up their game plan right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Need to try and get things done. The Dragon's always worth looking at, though it is an air dragon. I'd say Baron is more of a priority for them. At least get vision around it, especially given what AV have to offer. And we are in a respite from trading, a respite from fighting. The only reason it is a respite is because there's nothing free for Tainted Minds to take. They now have to be challenged for everything. And they're getting run around the map by AV because running a 1-3-1 just works out for them. They've got the Victor for wave clear. They've got the Braum for disengage. Everything they can need. If it came to the crunch, Shelby still got that Lamb's Respite as well to keep them alive.
Yeah, Avant, their gold lead slowly starting to grow here and there, especially after the last series of events. Omni doing what he can to keep up with Triple's Victor, but Triple has just been the superior mid laner all series long, and once again, it falls on the back of Lost. And how can he position himself in these team fights to efficiently take out either Triple or Chenny Boy?
This is going to be interesting.
Everyone poised and ready.
Yeah, if they can get anything onto Chenny, he's going to be completely burst it out. Lost does a lot of damage, still working towards that third item, and only with a 3 point, roughly 1k gold lead, that is actually in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he might be really dead, but luckily a hook comes through to stop any further aggression. But now Rosie is the one in trouble. There's no tower to back them up here. Triple has to respect the soldiers. There is the ulti. Steals it away.
Yeah, the Ezreal
Secures
picks it up for his own team because it is his own blue buff. Naturally, you are correct. But this is still the right move from AV. They're perhaps not executing in the best possible way. They are brute forcing their way in, but it's something that AV have been doing this whole series, and you come to appreciate it eventually. They know what they want to do, and they will get what they want. Sometimes. Once out of every 2 times.
Both mid laners, they've got themselves that Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so...
Happening again.
Oh, a hook onto Chelby. Does have the respite available, forced to use it very early on. Gets himself out of that one. Defensive condemn.
Shelby's gonna die.
But Shelby's going to have to flash, no?
Oh, no,
Does have it available, but Jake, oh, he tries to get over that. Not going to help him as the soldiers are too much and that wall was too thick.
And you can't do the same trick twice because it will never work the second time. Chenny right now has to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
Look, hashtags, Vayne spotting
Oh
here.
my
He's
God.
going in. The damage from Triple. Is it going to be enough? He gets the shutdown onto one. Chenny Boy still alive. Triple going to be the focal point right now. He's got his attention onto Omni. Omni does fall. Zahi and Loss are still alive in this one, but Loss Arcane shifts right in. Paradise going to be the next person to fall. A few more auto attacks should do it, but that's the Baron. And a lot of kills
Guess
going.
who's back though?
Oh, here comes Shelby. He's not finished yet. He's got Zahi in his sights. Hop skips, jumps his way to a kill with only Zazahu left on Tainted Minds to make use of that Baron.
All right, time to take stock of what's happened all over again. Wouldn't be a Tainted Minds of Arc game without everybody killing everybody. AV still somehow find themselves with a 900 gold lead, even though the Baron was just taken by Tainted Minds. And the benefactor of this is pretty much entirely going to be the top laner, Zazahu. Triple's damage output on this Victor when you force objectives is disgusting and something that needs to be noted. Lost target selection is always great, but Paradise is so far ahead that he is going to kill him for that. And the end result of this is Zahi, for some reason, I actually, like, what is on this side of the map that he really wanted, I couldn't tell you. Goes down for it, and Shelby picks up that 4th kill. 1 Baron buff to speak of. Lives on the top laner of Tainted Minds, which means his split pushing will be strong. Don't know if he can 1v1 the Fizz still, however. And the rest of the team start from scratch.
Yeah, that was quite a messy fight. Both teams licking their wounds after that one. The Dragon not going to be taken just yet, but a lot of shutdown gold going across to both teams. So a little bit of respite after quite an explosive fight. Be interested to see if they valued this dragon as much as either the Mountain Dragon or the Infernal Dragon.
Every dragon's important, I think, is what we've taken from watching the OPL so far, is that every team just wants to value the dragon, whether it's for a fight, whether it's to actually get the buff because of their team composition, or whether it's just to force people to move around the map to do something that they want to do. Perhaps it's split push, but you bait around the dragon and poke. Like, there seems to always be value in fighting for a dragon, regardless of what the outcome actually is or what your goal is behind it. It's worth looking at.
Yeah, as we see Paradise in the bot lane should be taking away this tower. No issue at all. Zazahu, he really can't contest right now. The Fizz is just too strong and too slippery. So the tower advantage well and truly in favor of Avant, despite Tainted Minds getting themselves a Baron buff, getting themselves a lot of kills. They got nothing else to go with it. So these two might want to fight. You know, it's just tanks hitting tanks.
Paradise is still beating Zazahu, and whilst they both still have their ultimates, one will outtrade the other and force the ultimate, being Paradise, when he decides that he needs to fish.
Well, Zazahu does have the Guardian Angel on top of Chrono Break, so he doesn't fear
the
death
rotation's
just yet.
coming. Zahi is here.
Are they going to be able to keep him slowed? Here comes Zahi. Looks like Paradise doing what he can, but ults backwards.
Yeah, just gets himself out.
Sure.
Everyone's got reasons. His reason was he wanted to use his R key.
Yeah, just not favoring the eventual outcome.
Epic battles, I will say though. You know, top laners
nail
going
biting.
at it, hitting each other. Zahi ruining the party.
Yeah.
Decides he wants to go and help, and they just disengage and start again. The story of this game in a nutshell. Fight each other, kill each other, start again. If this was a game where like the first person to 30 kills wins, this is the best possible game we could have for it. It's like deathmatch.
You're exactly right. 10 kills to 11 in favor of Avant right now. The gold lead still about 2,000 in favor of Avant. After that Baron fight, Tainted Minds were able to catch back up, but due to superior laning and just map control, Avant, they've been able to hold it through tower advantage and just general CSing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say at this stage the 3 kills that Rosie got are for nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got a Chalice in advantage, right? But it doesn't add up to anything really at all. In fact, I would say that it's unfortunate that he got those kills. I'm always going to say that,
yeah.
but really does come back to bite them. If the Ezreal had 5 kills right now instead, it could actually benefit their team fighting massively, as Chenny is going to try and take this one on.
Goes in for the ulti. Looks like he's got his sights set onto Lost. They're both trading blows back and forwards. One more auto attack should do it from either of them. But Jakey, he's cheating. He comes in, assists Chenny Boy to help him win that one.
And that is just the sign of a very strong mechanical battle between 2 big AD carries that Chenny
That was insane.
wasn't going to win, but he still comes out on top with it. Yes, Jakey came in to secure it. Still played super well by this Vayne. He's definitely starting to get himself into form now. The later the game goes, the stronger the Vayne will be. He's caught up that CS discrepancy as well. It was 50. Well played by Chenny Boy. Seriously, well played by Chenny Boy.
He's doing a great job making this Vayne shine. A lot of people disregard the Vayne at first glance, especially in these super competitive scenarios here. Let's see what else he can do besides 1v1ing an Ezreal. Really just chucking out hooks. No harm, no foul.
You know what? Saying we'll see what else he can do besides 1v1ing an Ezreal is, I feel like it's an easier thing to do.
Yeah.
So whatever he does from here on out, he's already tried to do the hard part.
Sure.
And that's taking on the proclaimed best AD carry in the server. He has been sort of titled. I think it was by us. I don't know who said it.
Someone
said it. I'm sticking with it. Taking on one of the strongest mechanical players that has received a lot of praise, and coming out the other end better for it, is the first step in a mental battle that you have come out on top in.
Well, that's just going to mean that Lost can never be left alone anymore, right? Because he knows that he's always going to be in danger.
Perhaps, and I think the only reason that I would like 100% agree with that is
Sure.
because he died, not because he can't kill him anymore.
Yeah.
We saw the 1v1 was close.
Oh, it was
Like,
looking very favorable.
There was an absolute possibility that Lost was going to win that, right? But because he died, he may believe that it's not valuable for him to sit in a side lane. I think we will still see the 1v1 though between the Ezreal and Vayne, simply because who else do they send?
You're right. There's no one else that can really contest. We've been seeing this Echo Fizz for quite a while now. Neither of them really winning this eternal tug of war. This game is kind of regressed back into a farm game. We're used to seeing these guys constantly stepping off the podium, letting the other one off for a change, but right now it's game number 3, and
It's a pressure cooker.
yeah, game number 3. Pressure is high, emotions are high, and these guys, they both want to make their first games in Split 2 of the OPL count, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, coming into a third game, emotions do start to run high. The objectives are definitely the focus, though, from both of these teams. So as we move further into this game, I actually think that favors Avant simply because of the Drakes that they have got secured.
2 mountain and 2 air, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
We see Omni just doing what he can.
do they have 4 Drakes?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I can see the number 4.
Yeah, they got it. Went after that fight at Baron, or went to crap. The member of Avant just went and took the dragon. I remember who was alive.
Oh, nice. There it is.
Hey. I do believe once
It was hiding.
Chelby had killed Zahi, he just went and took the dragon. But
Okay.
we were so invested in cool replays and epic fights that we must have missed that one.
All right.
It's all right.
He was hiding in the indicator. It's okay. There's a lot of dragons, though. And that means that the next one being an Eldar.
Be very
Big deal.
beneficial. Oh,
That's
Chelby
cool.
gets hooked. They might be able to get him before the respite goes down, and they're going to do just that as Sazahu teleports in, but then immediately turns tail and runs with the jungler down. There
Baron
should be
started.
a free Baron as Paradise might try to get the
So,
inhibitor turret.
watch triple as well, because he's got a big flank if they choose to fight. I don't think they will. I think ideally what they will be doing, though, is trying to pressure this bottom lane. Chelby has done this more than once in this game, and whilst we said who's going to shore up their errors will probably be the team that actually wins, Chelby's caused more errors than he is fixing compared to game number 2. And it's actually backfiring for his entire team because he is a damage-dealing Kindred. Like, he actually has a rapid-fire cannon as his third item of choice, now working towards a Sterix Gauge, right? Not good enough. Not good enough from Chelby. He's the experienced member of the team.
It's going to be biting them in the arse a little bit here as Zahi and Shazahu both making their way down. Paradise has got a little bit left on that Rift Herald buff, making all the use he can of it, not able to pick up that inhibitor turret, unfortunately. It's what they were kind of considering their consolation prize to losing that Baron. Shazahu and Shelby against odds here. They may have been caught out.
Fish is on.
Yeah, it looks like Shazahu gonna get hit by that one. Still has the ulti, still has the Guardian Angel available. So much movement speed off the third proc of his passive. It's not gonna matter too much.
And the fish is off. They don't get the kill. They have a Leandra's Torment, however, with Paradise on this Fizz. Which I don't mind at all, really. It's actually quite a good tank shredding item. And Ivias generally go for that when they need to shred tank, because they do damage over time, which is something that Fizz has an abundance of, especially given who he is laning against with all of that percentage health shred. Going to be good for split pushing, I think, is the point that we're trying to get across here. And it's going to be one of the big win conditions that Avantgarde look towards as this game progresses.
The damage at a triple, not as impactful as a Varus Q would have been, but in a team fight, a huge flash ultimate catches Chenny Boy and Jakey. They're going to go down triple. Let's see if the AoE can do just that. The laser was there, but lost. He gets lost in the annals of history as Paradise wants to make something happen here. Another kill goes across to Rosie.
And Rosie actually deserving of that kill because of another clutch hook that he will always find a way to connect. Lost going down is potentially the saving grace of Avant once more, but they have lost both of their respective carries, and so defense against the Baron buff side is very difficult to do. That's why Paradise has had to join the mix, or just engage on Rosie.
It looks like he's got his sights set on this Thresh. The box has been laid down. Jakey coming round the side. Lamb's Respite used. Omni,
he's going
to be staying inside of that one, just gets taken down immediate low, but here comes Shazahu, another hook onto Chelby, who's got a nice double kill for himself. Paradise should fall, but Chelby's not done yet.
I think Chelby yeah. Look, he wants it.
He wants it.
He got 2 kills already, the Kindred right now, and Avantgarde have actually find themselves in a position where they can trade back. Tainted Minds overstaying their welcome once again. This does feel like I am watching a rerun of a sitcom that I saw 10 years ago and then rewatched last week. And I'm now seeing another run of it. Gets a bit repetitive. Just mistakes. And like again, the reason I'm even saying that is because they are just making mistakes that shouldn't be happening. It's like you get an advantage, you just get the Baron buff. You find picks. It was a great pick. Great rotation towards that top lane. Exactly what they wanted was achieved from that. They rotate mid lane and get the turret, and then they decide they can fight. Like after all of that time taken, that was the point where they thought that they could still continue to team fight. That's a mistake.
No one explains mistakes as well as you do, Rusty.
Same thing as Avant, though. Like, they've been doing the same thing when ahead, so I've had a lot of practice.
Looks like Avant, they want to get themselves this Elder Dragon up in 50 seconds here. They already have 4 drags under their belt. So the buff will be well and truly massive. Should they not be able to kill Zahi and Rosie here?
Yeah, this buff will be game-winning for AV if they can actually secure it. Tainted Minds will have to fight for this one. No Baron available as well, so there's no trade option for both of these teams. We will get a 5v5 too, with every member available. The advantage, however, is still the teleport that they've got on the Echo. Victor can't afford to go split push against him with his own teleport. Does need to be at the fight at the very start due to his burst taking a prolonged time to actually be accounted for. There's a lot of initial, but the follow-up is important. Needs to be there at the start. AV looking to start it up. Positioning-wise as well, actually, from Tainted Minds. That's not to fight, that's to steal where they're standing.
Dragon does take a long time to die, but remember they do have 2 Mountain Drakes. True damage from Vayne.
Needs the teleport.
Percentage from Kindred.
Needs the teleport.
He's really hanging on to this one. There it is, finally comes through. It does get stolen though. No, not stolen, secured by the Vayne. The fight has well and truly started. Emperor's Divide dividing the fight up, but Omni gets just completely destroyed by the Chaos Storm procs. But here comes Zahi looking to make a play, is able to take it out. Lost, he's so low, but he's doing what he can. Paradise is here now. Chenny Boy, the next one to fall as Saza, who takes that one out. Lost and Zahi, they're able to kill Paradise.
The carries of Tainted Minds just went insane. Lost is so good on this Ezreal.
Oh no.
Jake is dead as well. That is a lot. That's a full ace in like 40 plus seconds available to them. That'll be at least an inhibitor. You would think it's going to be the rest of this game now secured by them. We'll see how much they can get, but that team fight was impeccable. They just got the Elder Dragon taken by the Vayne with 4 dragons empowering that, and still they win a team fight.
That is insanity right there. By all means, it should have been over. They should have just been able to turn on that use, that massive damage buff that the dragon gives, but here we are, we're seeing Tainted Mind, they're trying to take this one out. Shelby, he's going to be off the respawns in 1 second, but it's not going to matter as Tainted Minds make their mark on the OPL and take it out in what seems like a quick game compared to game 1 and 2, Rusty.
Yeah, 41-minute victory, and the Tainted Minds secure themselves the first win in the OPL. Came down to a team fight that was never going to be favorable for them, but still they win it. And just shows that the raw mechanics and capabilities of this Tainted Minds roster is noteworthy and a very impressive closeout nonetheless.
Yeah, you got to give props to Lost. He did such a good job of being able to survive Paradise, who is all game, the bane of his existence. Then at the end, when it truly mattered, he was able to win it and clutch it out and basically take the game.
Yeah, and say what you will about Zero. Impressive performance. Rosie was my MVP.
All right, I'm going to send it back to the analyst desk to break down what an incredible series that was.
Thanks so much, guys. And with that, Tainted Minds do pick up the 2-1 victory over Avantgarde. And I think that what Rusty said at the air kind of echoes the sentiments of the desk. You know, say what you will about Avant's experience. Tainted Minds had their huge star player in Rosie just come up absolutely massive throughout the entirety of that game.
No, I completely agree. If I had to give MVP, it would be to Rosie. He had 2 fantastic Bard games and followed up with an incredible Thresh game. I mean, he was 3-0 at some point during that game, like the actual hard carry of the lane. And we were talking about this a bit in the green room, and it's actually really hard for me to assess where I put Lost, formerly known as Zero, kind of on the scale of 80 carries. Yes, mechanically he looked very clean, especially in that Lucian game in the middle of this series, but when he's standing next to a guy like Rosie, who's hitting all of these skill shots, who's setting him up so beautifully with these hooks, I mean, obviously you're just pressing your buttons. Mechanically gifted, but I'm still on the fence of whether Lost really lived up to this all-star title, but Rosie certainly did.
I agree, because in all of the 3 games, you can see that Lost is a decent AD carry. You can't see how great he is, truly, just because Rosie stepped up to play so well in all 3 of those games. But I'm really impressed that Tainted Minds were able to clean up their game a lot. I know that's quite a big meme now, but they were able to play a lot better in the top side of the map and not just the bottom side of the map as well.
To me, it actually came down to this idea that Avant, I think, pretty much every single time except for the last game would really get the ball going early. Even though Rosie was kind of going off in the lane phase, they were still trading really well around the map and taking those 2 early towers. You remember the play that talking about when they put Vayne in kind of that 1-3-1 split push scenario. But just late game, they didn't have the raw mechanics that the carries for Tainted Minds were able to pick up. It kind of came down to, I mean, every single game came down super late to just 5v5s around Elder Dragons.
And in my opinion, that almost costed them, because Avant had 4 dragons and they picked up the Elder Dragon in the final team fight, but Tainted Minds were still able to pick up the win in that final team fight.
Yeah, and it was off the back of a mechanical misplay. I mean, Shelby goes down without burning his ultimate. It was a 4v5 before that because Triple had managed to blow up Omni one more time. So Avantgarde just unfortunately not able to stick with the younger mechanical players of Tainted Minds. But what does this really tell us about the OPL? Because I'm looking at this now. We've seen 6 out of the 8 teams. Looks like the bottom is starting to like really lift up. Like, can they challenge the likes of Legacy, Direwolves, Chiefs? We haven't seen Legacy or Direwolves play, so we don't really know about that. But it's starting to look like the middle of the pack is certainly, like, we've had 2 2-1 games so far.
My personal opinion is that the meta has shifted more into a skirmish or team fight meta. I don't think anyone can deny that. Obviously, with the importance of Dragon increasing, progressing, it means that more people are going to be fighting around it. And I think that compensates for a lot of what OPL teams really struggled for. If you think back to last split, which is the inability to cleanly play clinical League of Legends or that macro-heavy base style that, you know, Sin and Chiefs really made popular. Legacy was kind of, and Direwolves were the really brute force-esque style of teams. But now that macro play isn't as punished or isn't as prevalent it used to be, at least not initially on 6.10, I think the rest of the OPL is really stepping up because we have mechanically talented players. It's just getting them in the right places at the right time.
Yeah, we certainly do. And with that in mind, guys, we get to see 10 of the best take to Summoner's Rift. Up next is going to be Legacy taking on Direwolves in a semi-final rematch. Not going to want to miss that one. We'll be back in 3.5.